Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra Lamina. This is chapter 13, 1-3. Part of the wealth comes from like private donors, and as well as the sale and the enchanting of magical items. We also offer healing services to the city and the towns affected by illnesses. The healing service is the one which brings in the largest bulk of the profit, and we cash in from the noble families who have angered the priestly class, and others bring in money to the tower by serving as court mages, and they advise the rulers on matters relating to magic, and in exchange we get subsidies from the ruler, explains Suberus. Impressive, you say, genuinely impressed. And I was wondering if you would like to take part in the tower I am attempting to rebuild, finally says Suberus. Irving is silent for a moment and then he says, I'm afraid I will have to decline. I don't have talent for magic, and even with my own teacher, I was barely able to grasp the concept he so stubbornly tried to hammer it into my head. The truth of the matter is that I am and will always be an illiterate shepherd, and no amount of effort will change things, and I have made peace with it. Irving's natural frankness made Suberus lower his eyes, and shaking his head sadly, he said, I suppose there are some things that cannot be helped. And you don't suppose you have any of the books that your teacher gave you? I do have a few. Here's a small one I always carry with me for reference purposes, says Irving, reaching into his pocket to take out his handbook. Suberus flips page by page and reads over the top all of the information in the small book, and chuckling he comments, it is certainly quite the Pinterest reading. Irving has a unique way of explaining things, and most of the time I can barely understand him, though the pictures and the diagrams sometimes help get the point across, comments Irving. And thank you for showing this to me, Irving, says Suberus, getting up, and before leaving he takes out his super expensive necklace and hands it to Irving. It had a green gem with a cross on its center, and it was held by a golden gem-encrusted circle. Irving, holding it up to the air to see it, says, I can't accept this. You need this more than I do, talentless mage. Suberus asks, it is a protection talisman. Thank you, says Irving, smiling. Suberus then leaves the room, and you know the time, and then asks Irving, are you ready to head out? Irving thinks a moment, and then he says, nah, let's stay a little longer. Fiona wanted to continue in the game room, and this time she wanted to try poker. And as for Irving, he decides to show off his practical magic to make a few bucks from the admiring crowd. The Bashmago manifests and decides to take charge of Fiona, and much to his surprise, the people around him are experiencing too much drunken stupor to mind his sudden apparition. Most assume that the Bashmago had always been there, or that they lingered in a blink for too long, and then he manifested. Fiona had enough for playing cards, unlike the Bashmagos, and he would always give her his money for her to multiply. Her secret is that she counts cards, and quite effectively too. So while she waited for the deck to get hot, you leave with Irving to act as his assistant. And some of the classical tricks he plays is the sawing a woman in half, or the appearing and disappearing lady act. And he also did a few card tricks, and he bent a coin and coin hidden inside an apple, and he also drew an X on people's hands and made them appear on their forehead after smacking them. And he also tried the dangerous punch me in the stomach trick, and several drunken men had tried it and failed to make him flinch. And it is at that moment when Vertebrae enters the scene, and he has been watching Irving from the second floor for quite some time. Smiling, he says, why don't I give it a shot? Irving sees Vertebrae approaching, and from the second floor, the king doesn't look too big. You yell at Irving, run for your life! The audience creates a barricade to keep Irving from running away, and it is at that moment that he uses one of his magic tricks to make himself disappear. And the trick is that the large cloak and the purple smoke is a diversion, and Irving changes his costume and blends into the crowd before anyone is the wiser. Irving decides that his luck has run out, and together you make your way towards the game room to pick up Fiore. And Fiore's in the middle of something or other, and you make signs at her to encourage her to leave, but she stoically ignores you. And the commotion in the room dies down when a piercing rope penetrates all of the corridors of the citadel, and all stare about in a mad stupor looking for its source, and a strange noise that sounded like running water is heard overhead, and soon the entire room is enveloped in smoke and flames. The people start running in a panic, screaming bloody murder, and Fiona calmly brushes her dress as the Bashmago helps her get up. And Irving's shields protect her from the flames, but there is still the danger of dying of smoke inhalation. and you change it to your speak voice and say, "Get on." "But I thought you said you were not strong enough to carry a person," says Irving, covering his mouth. "Do as I say," you yell at Irving, and Irving puts Fiore in the front, and the Bastion makes a motion to get on as well, but you kick him with his hind legs. A ghost doesn't need a ride. Laughing, Fiore tells them, "Get your own ride." You fly out of the castle and take great height, and everyone sees below a dark shadow, and the flame spewing out of his mouth. And as he tries to focus on it, he knows things that were not in part with a dragon, and indeed it looks like a dragon devoid of scales with a strange human snout-like face. And Erwin asks, "Is that another abandon?" "No, that's just what happens when you get drunk," you remark, and a ghost of the Batman eventually catches up with you, and as you fly towards the inn, and angrily he says, "That was completely uncalled for." And stares you, "What?" you snort. You put on your human skin and then ready the mouth, and as you leave the field of your companion, with your companions, you notice hanging above your head the Eye of Blood Red. The following days have been rather hectic, and you rarely have a moment to yourself, let alone a moment to spend time with your companions. And after 2 months of traveling around and seemingly aimlessly, Irving asks you, "Where are we going?" "This is none of your concern," when you say coldly, and you add, "I go where I must, and if you can't keep up my pace, I suggest we go our separate ways." "And what's the matter with you now?" asks Fiona yawning as she rides by your side. "Just nothing at all," you say, frowning. And you descend from your horses and limply walk towards the forest, and a week passes, and then you finally are able to return to your companions. And while you were away, Irving had realized that you were fighting those creatures without him. And he chooses not to press the matter, but he secretly worries about you every time you disappear. And even Fiona has to guess the truth behind your strange behavior. And both children feverishly practice to hone their meager poultry skills. And this turn of event continues for more than a year, and the constant fighting and the more often and the not humiliating retreats start to take its toll on your mood. Today you decide to tackle the ever-elusive Gerudo. He's of the tiny variety, which are rare and difficult to kill due to their unique abilities. Yet in Gerudo's case, he drains his opponent of both their powers and their blood, ergo he has a small, unassuming form of a little leash. And whenever he strikes, he kills and assimilates a person in less than a millisecond. And close to sunset, you track down Gurido at a ghost town, and the town had been left abandoned for the last 200 years, when a mysterious plague killed everyone. Gerudo has nothing to do with the plague, rather whatever redness there was of a sentient being was found over ghost towns, and you find Gurido in the town square without an aria or anything. He's the most innocent-looking abandon you have ever seen. He's even less menacing than the little scorpion. You return to find your companion standing in the fireplace, and concern Irwin asks, "So how did the fight go?" "As always, dear Irwin," I say, smiling. The young man looks at you as if he doesn't recognize you, and in order to disperse his fears, I say, "Why are you giving me a strange look?" "It is just that you never called me Irwin before," commented Irwin, looking bewildered. "And I started traveling with Irving and Fiona the following day, and it takes some time to pick up where I left off, and apparently I'm supposed to be a neat freak washing myself like 10 times a day. And I deduce that once, because I frankly do not have the time to bother with it anymore since I am so busy with my abandoned hunts. And as of late, I have a hard time falling asleep, and I feel a shiver run down my spine, almost as if I'm being haunted by ghosts. And today I arrived with my companions to a small little fishing village, and it has a nice decrepit house facing the river, and I decided to study its remains and decipher when it was made. Like at this moment, if you haven't noticed, I changed like the narration stuff from you to I, so that's how I let the reader know that there's something off about the main character who's also the narrator. As I head towards the cemetery, Fiona gets in your way and asks, "Shouldn't we go to the inn first?" And I reach into my pocket and I hand her a coin pouch, and I say with disdain, "This should cover you the rest of the night, little girl. Now leave me be. I am busy, hunting abandons and all that." The girl, whose name I cannot seem to remember, frowns and goes in the direction of the building I assume might be the inn. And while looking through all of the graves, I cannot shake the feeling that I'm being watched. And the feeling revitalizes my dull senses, and it feels great to be a person again, even if it is for a little while. And the first grave has the names almost illegible, and they must be at least from the 14th or 15th century. And the village itself also looks quite rustic, and what are the people wearing? and I go to the edge of the river to get a better look at myself, and I laugh when I realize that this is stupid to even try. Rivers do not work like in movies when one stands near them and sees a perfect reflection of oneself. I see an elderly man opening up a grave, and I walk towards him and say shyly, "Excuse me, sir. I suppose you don't have a cosmetic store in yonder village." "Cosmetic? And what do you want?" "Potion," asked the old man. "No, sir, I want a mirror. Where can I buy one?" I insist. The old man gets a better look at you and asks, "Are you alright? Are you okay, girl?" "And why? What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" I ask, alarmed. "Your eyes," he says, alarmed, and I rush in the direction of the village, and I ask the first woman I see, "Do you have a mirror?" The maiden screams bloody murder, and it's in the distorted reflection of the sheer where you see that your body is starting to deteriorate at an alarming rate. And I want, "No, I need more time." And before you realize it, you lie on the floor with a gaping hole in your chest, and a large scale figure is looming over you, and as your eyes overflow with tears of blood, you hear Irving shouting in the distance. A Fiore is beside him hysterical, and with the appearance of a dragon, the village quickly empties out, and for the moment all you can do is watch as things transpire around you, and you cannot move a muscle as you slowly bleed out on the floor, and you lose consciousness. While you hover between this world and the next, you dream about the Sphynx, and in your dream you tell him, "You are the one I wanted to play with." And you know the long golden hair of the little girl who's always in Irving's dreams, and as always her back is turned to you, and a strange sensation washes over your face, and you start coughing as you start waking up. You see, like, they were able to, like, snap her out of it, because the narration went back to, like, its normal state. You frown when you find yourself inside the grave, and as you rise up, the background screams, "She's alive! By the gods, I thought you were dead." "So instead of taking me to a doctor, you fools go right ahead and bury me," you say, frowning. "But," says Irving turning, "you look really weird, and you were not moving, so I thought your death spell had activated to protect you from the abandons." You could tell I was possessed." You are surprised, and Fiona looks left and right, and she says, "Sure, of course we could tell that it was not you, ha ha ha." You say, dusting off your clothing and getting out of the grave, and you know that the entire town looks abandoned. And looking in the direction of the town, Fiona explains, "Everyone left when the dragon showed up, and he says that we should bury you to allow you to rest in peace." "It was one of the best sleeps I had in weeks," you say sarcastically, "and where's this dragon so I can give him my thanks?" And you stumble backwards a bit and almost fall back into your grave, and the backsmuggle holds your hand to keep you from falling. And you allow him to carry you back to the inn, and you fall in bed and with your hair a dusty mess. And you cross your hands over your bleeding chest and you close your eyes to sleep. The days pass lazily by while you recuperate, and meanwhile, technically there's nothing wrong with you. Still, you are suffering from the psychological curse of the abandon that was slain by the arbitrary dragons. And you sometimes forget that you and your siblings are not the only abandoned hunters, and it is a pity that your efforts will go forever unappreciated by the rest of the universe. And you suppose that there are some things that cannot be helped, and you like existing, and you will sacrifice your life in order to prefer your existence. And at first sight of the villagers, you decide to rise from your death chamber and return to the open road. And after that incident, Irving and Fiona start taking their training more seriously, and they fully believe that they will make a difference in the grand scheme of things. And you have already made peace with their uselessness. And not getting that you speak in earnest, I shouldn't imagine that you're thinking and speaking in code in order not to confound your non-existent enemies. And indeed, from an outsider's perspective, you're just jumping a shadow. The next target is something else. Solarium or Sundial is an abandon that is also an area, and if one manages to break the area, the bastard dies por fin. And this is easier said than done, and Solarium is one of the original 88. And he is not of the top 12, but he is still a force to be reckoned with. And you find this stationary abandoned in an ancient crater, and the crater is now filled with water in the form of a lake, and at the bottom there is a rudimentary sundial. The lake now hangs rather low and only a few feet deep, and you stumble down and reach the middle with the tip standing out, and Irving yells from far away, "Shouldn't we just destroy it?" "Destroy it how?" you ask, flapping your wings. "I could just shoot it with magic," a bit suggested Irving. "You're welcome to try," you said, moving out of the way. Irving creates a perfect spherical shield around the sun that gets it out of the water, and then he tries elemental magic, melts us, and even shoots at a shiny new pulsating arrow with a shimmering greenish flow of energy. And for all his paranoid precautions, you get sucked into the area anyway. and it is what does not need to make any physical contact to get trapped within it. Either that or the entire floor and surroundings was a booby trap, and the entire surroundings melt and become utter darkness, and slowly the sky becomes aglow, and the stars themselves are wounded together and based on classical interpretations of the shapes of the constellations. And in the center there is the sun that counting down to our demise, and you see Fiona and Erwin coming closer, and the constellations form pretty stars, and Erwin frowns at us, so what happens now? This one is not as straightforward as the other, but you are welcome to shoot at the sundial again, Erwin. It worked so well the last time, you say, Johnny. Aren't you at least remotely concerned about dying, asked Fiore? Dying is bound to happen to someone sooner or later. All it takes is one bad decision and boom. And we're stuck in the area and waiting for our death, you say, laughing hysterically. And you notice the fairy around you, and they are represented by lone stars with a cosmic cloud around them, reminiscent of the Pleiades. And the star cluster tries to disperse, but they are held in place by the power of the Area Master. And without getting a good sense of the surrounding, it will be hard to destabilize it. And Fiore asks, maybe it's like a puzzle. If we solve it, we'll be allowed to leave. And you notice a strange spherical distortion around the constellation, and you move away from it, guessing that it is the true form of the sundial. And the stars of the sun that achieve location, and some stars gather around you and start bursting into a micronova, and you move away from the impending black hole, and the kind you cannot see feels severely burned, and now there are two distortions looking about. Needless to say, the attacks will only get worse as time passes. Irving creates a barrier around each of us, and he tries some of his astro arrows, tapping into the power of the constellation, and much to his dismay, the arrows do not produce any power, and they are as worthless as a regular kind of wooden variety, and the fairies try resonating in an effort to create some sort of structural dissonance, and you start breathing a sigh of relief when you note a crack in the veil, and feeling that the area breaking down makes the sundial less passive, and instead of hours, it switches to seconds, and all one can do was go to the center of the firmament towards the sundial in an effort to get away from all of the novas and black holes, which threaten to eradicate us or turn us into flying spaghetti monsters. And from the shattered roof, a pool of blood starts streaming down, and as soon as a droplet falls on us, the surroundings become calm and serene beach. We present a strange overflowing pine tree at the edge of the world, and trembling Fiore whines, One now, I don't want to play this anymore. And it takes all your strength of will to withstand the torrent of insults, and in the end you shake your head and say bitterly, I suppose some things indeed couldn't be helped, and everyone wishes to pay your shoulder, but then changes his mind. And he turns around and looks at his surroundings as he ponders on what he should do next. It is all a lot easier when the enemy is an aggressive foe right in your face, and the elusive twister kinds require a special touch, and you give a sigh of relief when you know the strangeness of the sand and the surroundings. And there's a painterly approach to it with thick applications of paint, and it's a deviation from realism or Artsy abstraction of the typical abandoned areas. Countless hours pass, and finally the area breaks down and you return to the normal world. And outside there's a familiar face clad in black tattered cape. And Irving knows the Bashmangles and the ghosts who crowd around him in look concerned. And the Bashmangle says, You disappeared the minute you said you were going to fight the sundown. And those things are good here, and they love to make an example of those who are foolish enough to challenge their mighty powers. And you add, and since they hide so well, the best way to find them is to become their victim and hope that by some miracle you kill it, or for somebody else to get the job done, while they're busy feasting on you. And the familiar voice says, Your castle approach is no longer safe, Lamina. And now that the Tower of Superheroes has reached a critical point, it would only be a matter of time before they manifest to destroy the world. Don't we have a fail switch for that, you ask concerned? Not really, it all depends on their mutual will of self-preservation, and if they choose the path of destruction, then we had a mutual destruction assured, and if their desire for self-preservation wins, they will simply eliminate all of the mages that pose a threat to their existence and be done with them, explains your older brother Marduk. And maybe we should just let all the mages get killed, and if we try to stop them, they will know that we're onto them, you say, biting your nails. But how can they not know already, asked Fiore? Because this is a dream, and the lot of you has yet to leave town, and Lamina is still in bed recuperating, explains Marduk. Aha! And I thought there was something odd, and I was never able to perceive ghosts, nor see them, says the Bashmago, nor see them Bashmago when he was about, says Fiore smiling. But what about the abandoned Irving? That unfortunately was real, and Saladin attacks people only when they're asleep. And he's the only one who has the power to injure the soul, and the only reason your soul is still in one piece is because of her. Gesture might do towards the girl in the distance whose back is always turned to you. Does she have a name? Asked Fiona, and the girl turns around, and her hazel eyes sparkle slightly green under the light of the azure blue sky, and she says, "My name is..." And everyone wakes you up, and the innkeeper has brought breakfast to your room, and the town now that remembers the abandons of the dragon which assaulted you, and as far as the timeline is concerned, you simply collapsed as soon as you came to town, and you have been bedridden for more than 2 weeks, suffering from an unspeakable nightmares. And that is not to say that the effect of Avanda's curse was not felt by some people, and those who were affected by the curse too stared blankly towards the middle of the town, and at night some drunkards refused to go outside their house, and even after the waking nightmares ended, they still cannot shed the uneasy feeling that something terrible is looming over the horizon. And then it is as though you're insane, and insanity is all that remains after the abandon is defeated. And for when he dies, it is like he never existed, and being afraid of something that does not exist is insanity in a nutshell. And today is a cold, frosty morning, and as a mist of ice fogs the windows, and you languidly rise from your bed after resting for your weary travel for 2 months. And during that time, you hardly spoke with anyone, and you spent your time bedridden and did not even bother to go outside to bathe. And when you finally get out of the room, the batchmaker smiles and says, "Welcome back. Are you finally feeling well today?" "I feel the same as I always do, and there's no need for you to be pussyfooting around my door 24/7, you complain, Johnny. And as you had done before, you head out towards the nearest body of water to finally shower off the filth. And the villagers marvel at your Sphynx were about the fact that you are bathing in a particularly frozen water, and they already guessed that you were not human, and there was the fact that you do not eat nor rarely rose from your bed, and at times the maid would find disturbing how your eyes follow shadows she could not see. And she also did not like how the furniture arbitrarily moved whenever she turned around. And these haunting little games were still popular among the ghost children, and they never get tired of playing those games, but who can blame them? And now that the villagers saw your true form, they were a bit more at ease. Sure, you were supernatural, but at least you were a small hazard in comparison to a dragon. And for reasons you failed to understand, your mysterious illness had made you endearing to the poor folk from the fishing village, and the village was called Pundi, and it was located in the banks of the longest twin rivers towards the southern continent. Pundi has less of an arbitrary relationship with non-humans, and they regularly trade fishes with a red moon. The moon were a species of giants, and humans think that they are divided by racial lines, and the red moon lives in the south, the green in the west, and the blue in the north. And the color has to do with the weather, and if a moon were to come to the south, they would turn red after a year or two. And the colors were a visual manifestation of the unique evolutionary trait that helped them survive in whatever environment they were thrown into. And this fact of their true nature was carefully guarded secret among the moon. And it was not too convenient for them for the humans to be privy to their strengths and weaknesses. And normally the moon did not get along with humans because Nightly used to hunt them down just because it was cool. And the giant huntings ended 350 years ago when it was outlawed by the new king Vertebrae. Alright, so that's the end of this chapter. Bye bye and God bless.